I'm going to thank everybody for coming out tonight. We are coming out of a closed session, and so it was there that our meeting was called to order, and so we may begin tonight. Tonight we start our meeting in a way that we don't usually start. We are going to have a special public hearing on the superintendent of schools contract. I think it is fair to say that the hiring of a superintendent is among the most important responsibilities of a school board. So with that in mind, I'd like to begin tonight by providing some history and context so that members of our community can understand why we're holding a public hearing on the superintendent's contract tonight. So back in 2011, Governor Christie and the Department of Education issued regulations that capped salaries of New Jersey school superintendents. And it was under those rules that the initial 5-year contract for Dr. Adderhold was negotiated when he was hired as our superintendent in 2013. The law changed in the spring of 2017 when the Department of Education amended the salary caps for the first time since the caps were put in place. So while salary caps still existed, the law increased the caps and allowed for annual increases in salaries of superintendents. So it was because of that law change, plus a provision in Dr. Adderhold's employment contract, that the Board of Education and Dr. Adderhold negotiated and agreed upon the new contract. That contract was a 5-year agreement that runs until June 30th, 2022, and is the contract under which Dr. Adderhold is currently working. Like all other superintendent employment contracts in the state, Dr. Adderhold's contract contains a clause that allows either party to reopen the employment contract in the event that the salary cap limits set forth by New Jersey Code are revised further or repealed altogether. In the summer of 2019, that clause was triggered when Governor Murphy signed legislation that eliminated all superintendent salary caps. Both Dr. Adderhold and the board agreed to wait until spring 2020 to take any action in response to the change in the salary cap law. So earlier this year, back in February and in March, the board, with the help and assistance of our attorney, Mark Toscano, negotiated with Dr. Adderhold on the terms of a new employment contract. In so doing, the board reviewed and discussed the actions and trends of boards of education in comparable New Jersey school districts to better understand the impact of the elimination of salary caps on superintendent contracts. An agreement was reached as to the terms for a new employment contract. But before any formal action could be taken by this board, coronavirus impacted everyone's lives and plans. So given all the uncertainty at the beginning of the pandemic, the board and Dr. Adderhold mutually agreed to delay moving forward with a new contract at that time. Following our public meeting on September 22nd, the board and Dr. Adderhold agreed to move forward on the new employment contract for Dr. Adderhold. So this contract, which will run until June 2025, was submitted to the Executive County Superintendent for approval on October 2nd, was conditionally approved on October 16th, and was fully approved on October 20th. In accordance with state requirements, adequate public notice and advertisement were provided in compliance with required timelines. Additionally, a press release was publicly posted on the district website and broadcasted on social media, announcing that a public hearing would be conducted and that a new superintendent contract would be voted on by the board tonight. Now, for the most part, personnel matters and contract negotiations are strictly confidential and are considered closed session topics. So as board members, these topics are not discussed publicly. But now that we have reached an agreement and are prepared to vote, I'm going to turn it over now to our board attorney, Mark Toscano, who will summarize the terms of the contract that was negotiated between the board and Dr. Adderholt.
Thank you, Mrs. Kish. The proposed changes can be summarized into three categories. The first category is compensation. The first proposed change would be to increase the current salary that Dr. Adderholt is receiving to a salary of $249,900. That represents a $10,000 increase over the current year compensation number that Dr. Adderholt's current employment contract provides. The current compensation number for the current school year is currently $239,889. This again would increase that amount by $10,000. In addition, the proposed changes would also alter the compensation section of Dr. Adderholt's contract to remove and eliminate any merit goals. What that would do is that would prohibit any additional merit goals for both the current year and any future subsequent school year. The current value for merit goals for the current school year under Dr. Adderholt's contract is approximately $31,000 this year. In addition, the proposed contract would provide for an annual increase of 2.5% per year. That would be over, that would be above what is currently provided, which is 2% increase. The 2% increase was mandated by law when, as Ms. Case said, the superintendent's salary caps were revised in the spring of 2017. The 2.5% annual increase is equal to the annual percentage increase that is provided to the 3 assistant superintendents in the district and is less than that is provided to the other associations. And what do I mean by the other associations? They are the only other groups in the district that have multi-year contracts, and those include the Administrators Association, the WWPAA, the Teachers Association, the WWPEA, and the Support Staff Association, the WWPSA. Each one of those groups receives annual increases of either 2.9% or over 3% in the applicable time period. The next section that there's proposed changes is duration. As Ms. Case said, the current contract runs until June 30, 2022. The proposed new contract would run until June 30, 2025. The timing as to why the Board of Education and Dr. Adderholt entered into negotiations at this point is really twofold. The first is, as Ms. Case noted, there was a provision in Dr. Adderholt's contract that was uniform and in every superintendent's employment contract, that if the then superintendent's salary caps were revised or repealed, that either party could request to commence negotiations. In light of the fact that those superintendent salary caps no longer exist, that provision is being removed from the contract. But it is one of the reasons why the Board of Education entered into negotiations at this time. Second reason why the board entered into negotiations at this time is because it has been the consistent practice of the board over the last 5 years to enter into negotiations with anyone in the district that has a multi-year employment contract. Again, that would be the 3 associations that I mentioned before, at least 1 year prior to the expiration of their agreement. It has been the board's belief that this promotes both stability and maintains continuity, and also helps for budget planning and fiscal responsibility. So the board has applied that uniformly over the last 5 years. The third area where there are proposed changes is what would typically be referred to as fringe benefits. For instance, annual vacation day allotment. There will be an additional 3 vacation days provided under the new employment contract. There's also a provision that would allow for any vacation days that are not used during a school year where there has been a state of emergency or a public health crisis lasting at least 3 months in duration, to allow any unused vacation days from those years to roll over or be used in the subsequent school year. That is a provision and a benefit that the board has extended to other employees in the district, but because of Dr. Adderhold's position, any change to his employment contract would have to take place through this process. Another area is personal days. There are an additional 2 personal days that are being provided under the employment contract. Finally, last area where there is proposed change is memberships and associations. There was 2 additional associations that Dr. Adderhold, professional associations that Dr. Adderhold is a member of and participates in. And those have been added to the list of associations in the employment contract. Remaining revisions to the employment contract were legal because of changes in the law or had to do with requests from the county office to change certain phrasing. But those are the material changes that were submitted to the executive county superintendent. As Ms. Cage said, they were approved. They were found to be in compliance with the Department of Education's fiscal accountability regulations, and they were found to be comparable to other districts, both in terms of geography and in terms of size. Madam President, that's the summary of the proposed changes.
Thank you, Mr. Toscano. So that brings us to our opportunity for public comment on the Superintendent of Schools contract. The board invites thoughts and reactions from members of the community on the Superintendent of Schools contract who submitted written comments to the board secretary prior to the submission deadline for this meeting, and from those who have signed up on the form to comment via video and/or audio that was open and available on the district website up until the start of this special opportunity for public comment. Any written comments that were submitted prior to the deadline for this meeting will be read aloud by the board attorney for 3 minutes in accordance with Board Policy 0167. Members of the public who did not submit written comments and who have signed up will be offered the opportunity to make their comments via video and/or audio. Members of the public will not be permitted to submit both written comments and make additional comments via video and/or audio. Each comment should be directed to the presiding officer, not individual members of the board, and must be made in accordance with the procedures and 3-minute time limit set forth in Board Policy 0167. If the comment extends beyond 3 minutes, speakers will be asked to conclude their comments and may be muted by the moderator. Once an individual has finished their comment or their 3 minutes has expired, their audio and video will be turned off by the moderator. So we will begin with those members of the community who are making public comment via video and/or audio.
Madam President, the first name on the list is Maya Kamath.
Just for anyone who's going to be speaking, you'll be promoted to a panelist. You have to accept that. You'll appear on screen, and then your 3 minutes will begin after your name and address is stated.
Starting my video, unmuting. I'm going to open what I wanted to read. Okay, thank you so much for this time. I'm here today not as a PTA president, but as Rahul and Tara's mom. My kids are in 4th and 6th grade in this district. I'm here today in support of Dr. David Adderhold as he is up for contract renewal as his position as superintendent. As the parent of 2 children in this district, I have watched him over the last 6 years and realized one thing: he really cares. No other district that I've been in have I seen this amount of dedication. That being said, no district, no person is perfect, but his dedication is unmatched. Throughout this pandemic, Dr. Adderhold has worked tirelessly amongst the administration and staff to lead us through this crisis. His leadership and constant pressure on the governor has helped us and so many other districts run successful hybrid and virtual programs. I strongly believe he is an amazing asset to our system. I would like to also encourage all the parents right now that are here at this meeting or watching it later to read the district newsletters and come to these meetings. If you cannot, you can get the details from the district website. The most important thing is for all of us to be engaged, informed, and involved, because our voices do count in the end. So again, thank you for the time.
Thank you.
The next name on the list is Geta Telang.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for the opportunity. So we have lived in West Windsor for 15 years, and we've seen the school district through its many ups and downs. We have seen the amazing achievements of West Windsor-Plainsboro students in academics, extracurriculars, and sports. And we've enjoyed all of the teachers and administrators who put their heart and soul into taking care of our most precious children. Despite the ups and downs that we have seen through the last many years, and especially the last 7 months, one thing has remained constant and solid. That is the exceptional, dedicated, committed leadership of Dr. David Adderhold. Dr. Adderhold is a true leader in every sense of the word. He listens to all opinions and perspectives openly and respectfully, and then works collaboratively to make informed decisions that inclusively best serve the needs of the whole community. He handles difficult people with maturity, diplomacy, and patience, and always holds true to his values and beliefs for the health and wellness of our children. I personally have utmost respect for you, Dr. Adderhold, and the entire West Windsor-Plainsboro administration. And in honor of Gratitude Week last week, I encourage all of us who are listening to this meeting to recognize and appreciate the sincere and heroic efforts of both Dr. Adderhold and all the many individuals who have kept West Windsor-Plainsboro strong and resilient through this very challenging 7 months. In conclusion, I support wholeheartedly Dr. Adderhold's contract renewal, and just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam President, the next name is Andrea Bean.
Andrew, your mic is off.
No, I've been in 10,000 meetings. You think I would know that. I'm speaking tonight on behalf of the WWPAA. We're honored to work with Dr. Adderhold to further the mission of the district. Dr. Adderhold's unwavering in his full commitment to the children of both West Windsor and Plainsboro. Every decision he makes is made through the lens of helping our children and young adults meet their full potential. He's a man of integrity, character, and honesty. He works tirelessly on behalf of the children, the faculty, the staff, and the community, juggling all of the different needs of our district. Dr. Adderhold inspires us to learn and grow as professionals. He continually pushes our learning edge so that we can fully realize the district mission. He is a truly remarkable man, and I'm pleased to offer the unequivocal support of the principals, supervisors, and directors of WWP. On a personal note, I've been a district employee since 1987, and I've seen a lot of superintendents of all different kinds of leadership styles. I've been here a very long time, and I have never had the pleasure of working with someone as remarkable as Dave. Whether he is side by side with us, handing out food on Mondays, or in the conference room, pushing us to think harder and do better. It's just been an incredible journey, and I personally am behind him, and I'm pleased to represent my colleagues who also give their support.
Thank you.
Madam President, the next name on the list is Veronica Mino.
There. Toscano gave, because they are not 100% accurate. If you go to the user-friendly budget, Mr. Adehol's salary, base salary, is $204,000. He absolutely has a salary of $1,000. So if you even the bonus plus the salary of 204, that still gives you 234 pieces, from 234 to 249. Given the fact that we are in a pandemic, people have lost their jobs, people have their salaries reduced. I am not disagreeing, but yes, I am disagreeing with the fact that they are absolutely tone deaf. When Mr. Adehold was his salary at $197,000 back in 2019, there was of 357 different superintendents. Mr. Adehold, after on the list of 357 superintendents, was ranked 51. That means that all in all, even with the salary cap, Mr. Adehold was in the 14% higher end of his salary. So please explain to me why now that the community is suffering, that our taxes already are going higher, that people have lost their jobs, people are suffering, why now? Why are we giving this benefit or this price of $14,000, rearranging the contract, and then 2.5% increase in every single year? That does not happen in corporate America. Why does it happen in WWP? Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam President, there were no other names on the list to speak in person.
So I'm going to thank you now for reading the written statements that were submitted.
This up, and bear with me because there are some that well, I just got to check first public comment period. All right. The first public comment on the superintendent employment contract, written comment, excuse me, comes from Hashad Kamat, 17 Parker Road, Plainsboro. Comment is, currently when people are losing their jobs and budgets are tight with schools, it is not the time that the superintendent gets a 25% raise. There is a reason a contract was signed, so the superintendent has job security for 5 years and the salary is locked in. There's no reason why this contract be voided and salary be raised. We do not see anything extraordinary performance from our superintendent that warrants this exception. It is high time now that the board starts working for the community, not the superintendent. If the board has so much money to spare, then that money should be used to hire more teachers so that our student to teacher ratio can be reduced, which is already over the state limit. The next comment comes from Mary Vicky Algier, 5 Meadow Run, Princeton Junction. The comment is, I write as a parent of a first grader and a fourth grader in the district. I believe Dr. Adderall's leadership has been exceptional in ensuring the mission of educating the whole child. Also, my husband and I greatly appreciate his leadership, communication, and prioritization of the health and well-being of our students and community during the pandemic. I'm in the education professionally, and I know him as a leader in the field, and he is seen as such in wide circles in education. Our hope is that we do everything to keep him in the district. The next comment comes from Benjamin Bratton, 119 Acadia Court, West Windsor. Comment: our family is proud to be a part of the outstanding WWP district, and we appreciate the leadership provided by the Board of Education and Dr. Adderhold, along with the other outstanding district and school level administrators. The next comment comes from Lisa Wolf, 1 Partridge Run, Princeton Junction. The comment: I know that Dr. Adderhold has been working diligently, attend state level meetings, as well as township planning board meetings, and overseeing construction, as well as getting grants for construction. And WWP had opened with a hybrid model while other districts remained remote. I commend his efforts. However, this is his job. I would expect nothing less from a superintendent of such a high quality district. In regards to his new contract, I suggest waiting until March or April 2021, as we don't know whether the district will close again due to a rise in cases. It is still too early to say whether the current implementation has been successful. In regards to the salary, I propose a 2% salary increase to keep up with inflation from a current base salary of $204,526. I believe school board members mentioned that his total compensation would be $240,000 for 2020. I believe the new contract should also include bonuses as well. However, I am in protest for a guaranteed salary of $249,000 per the new contract request. I am not opposing Dr. Adderhold in having a salary increase, but the same component of his pay should be tied to performance, which should be specifically laid out in his new contract. The next comment comes from Hu Z, and I apologize if I mispronounced that. It's an email address, Princeton Junction. The comment: I think everyone in this school district shall try best to keep the salary during the pandemic period. Increasing the salary will be a burden for all residents, let alone some family in single income. Thanks.
Mark, I'm just going to interrupt for 1 second because I think you skipped over one comment.
Did I? I apologize. Oh, I did as I was moving the screen. Thank you. This comes from Vasanti Anand, Scott Avenue, West Windsor. Dr. Adderhold has demonstrated extreme resilience and courage in listening to each and every parent's voice with unwavering dedication. I strongly support renewal of his contract and need his leadership and support in helping us resume normalcy in the face of adversity. We are one of the only few districts who started both hybrid and virtual options, even though there was constant criticism or a lack of governor's support at the state level. My sincere thanks to Dr. Adderhold for doing all that he does for us in the WWP community. A huge thank you. The last comment comes from Shweta Marda, 44 Reed Drive, Princeton Junction. Comment: I would like to sincerely thank Dr. Adderhold for working tirelessly and extensively to ensure the safety of our kids during this pandemic. He had the insight of asking so many questions early on in the summer to our governor. He always asks the parent and is data-driven and scientific in his approach. Please do renew his contract. Madam President, that is the last of the submitted written comments.
Thank you. So that will close our opportunity for public comment. At this time, I need a motion to approve the superintendent of schools contract, Rachel and Tony. Are there any questions or comments about the contract? Thank you, Chris.
Okay, Mr. Chang,
Yes.
Mr. Flores,
Yes.
Ms. Ho.
Muted.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I was worried that the connection was lost.
Had to unmute myself.
Yep. Okay. Next we have is Ms. Krug.
Yes.
Then we have Ms. Geez, I'm stuttering again. I got off track. Ms. McCune,
Yes.
Mr. Whitfield,
Yes.
Ms. Zovich,
Yes.
Ms. Juliana,
Yes.
and Ms. Case.
Yes.
I'm back on track.
If we were in person right now, there would be a round of applause. So let's start. I'm going to just say congratulations to Dr. Adderhold. That will end adjourn our special public hearing, and we'll start now with the regular business meeting. At this time, I'll turn it over to the superintendent for his comments.
Thank you, Ms. Cation. Thank you to the members of the board and members of the public that are attending this evening. It's been a great pleasure to serve this community for the last 11 years. I'm in my 12th year now. Our seniors were first graders when I joined. And I've had the pleasure of being superintendent now on my 8th year here in West Windsor-Plainsboro. And what I can tell you is that I'm filled with extreme gratitude to the community and our staff. In particular, I'd like to just say thank you to my members of the leadership team that are on this call with me tonight for their constant support and dedication to this community. They don't get the recognition that they deserve. We have a tremendous faculty, leadership team, and staff that support our students in our community. And they are going through a tremendously difficult time, but they've accepted it with grace and dedication and a firm commitment to our students and to our families. I couldn't be more prouder to continue to lead this community and to lead them through this difficult time and in good times and bad in WWP and in our state. I've also had the great pleasure to serve in several roles on our state leadership within the Garden State Coalition of Schools and others. And I'll continue to advocate for students and school districts throughout the state in that role, because I believe firmly that West Windsor-Plainsboro and our school community has a responsibility to stand up for educational rights of all students throughout our state. And so we'll continue to lead that charge. And we have, again, a remarkable team that's committed to a vision. Today's day 36, and we've been saying every day is a gift. I can't tell you that I'm not going to get a call in the next hour of a case. And so we just keep plugging forward to provide the opportunities as best we can for the students and families based on the choices that they select. We are in constant review of the model, and we'll be working through some slight tweaks. And we're going to try to bring some of our special education community in a little bit more frequently, especially at the 6-12 level. So that's something that we're currently working on. We're also working at the 4-5 in resource. And I say that I differentiate by level because different grade configurations have different structures and different challenges with respect to homerooms and programmatic implementations. But we've been meeting as a leadership team over the last several days to look at some of our decreasing numbers. Moving to hybrid provides an opportunity to bring some of our students in more frequently that need more consistent support. So we're constantly looking at and evaluating those programs. And I know working with Karen Slagle and her team the last several days that some of our child study team members and some of our ESL teachers are going to be working with the secondary 6-12 community to reach out to families to offer an opportunity to come in a little bit more frequently. And we will continue to evaluate opportunities based on staffing considerations, which is based on social distancing, based on transportation, based on availability and seats, while we're adhering to health and wellness standards. And that really drives all of it right now. We should be tremendously proud as a school community in the work that we have collectively done. And I say collectively done because never has it been more important for everyone to be on the same page with respect to health and safety standards. you know, when we opened on September 8th, we were one of 2 school districts in Mercer County to open up K-12 in some form of hybridity, Hopewell Valley and WWP. And we both had some challenges. We had to close community for 3 days. Hopewell's had to have some closures. And since that time, there have been a handful of Mercer districts that have come back and have also had challenges. So COVID is very much present in the community. And the transmission rates in Mercer are a little bit lower than around the full state. But we have to always remember we're a Mercer Middlesex district, and Middlesex has had some challenges as well. And if we go back to September 8th, we had 283 cases as a state. Today we had 1,663, more than 5 times that rate on the opening day of school in 36 days of school. So we're week 8, and we've been steadily more than doubling every 4 weeks. So as we head towards, as we head towards Thanksgiving, as we head towards the return of college students to school communities all across New Jersey, as they come home from semesters, those that were fortunate enough to be able to go away, as we head into the holiday and travel season, the vigilance that we adhere as a community is going to be that much more important if we're going to have a chance to stay open. And I just ask everyone to make sure that you think very carefully about the travel that you're in, and that if you do choose to travel, which is your right, that you adhere to the quarantine provisions. And now, as of today, 41 states are on New Jersey's list. I think New Jersey would be on New Jersey's list, and some of the counties would meet the criteria. And remember, Delaware, Pennsylvania, Connecticut, and New Jersey are in partnership agreements, so they don't get put on the list. So we're down to 4 places we could go outside of those 4 I mentioned. So the challenges are steep that we're up against for long term. So as we say, every day is a gift that we can offer our students that want to come in person. And our goal is to stay open as long as safe for our staff and for our students. So it's going to be a collective effort as we go forward, but we will not hesitate to close a school or to close a classroom or to quarantine individuals if it means the safety of everyone else. The challenges that we're seeing, and we had an opportunity to talk to our school physician today with some of our high school nurses and some of our trainers. The challenges we're seeing with transmission is often not necessarily inside of school, but the contact tracing that comes from things that happen outside of school that are then obviously brought into school. In school to school transmission is actually relatively low. When we contact trace back, it's often the play date, it's often the family gathering, it's often the trip to an establishment, whether shopping or restaurant or whatnot. So just as we're together with our families, we just need to also make sure we're maintaining that vigilance to keep our families and to keep our school community safe as well. Again, my thanks and appreciation to the board and to the members of the community for your consummate support. We are by no means perfect, but we are striving every day to be a better version of what we were today. And we'll continue to put that effort into the betterment of the community on behalf of our students. So as I said, I'm just tremendously grateful and proud to lead this school community going forward. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Adderhold. That brings us to the first opportunity for public comment. The board invites thoughts and reactions on agenda items and items of concern from members of our community who submitted written comments to the board secretary prior to the submission deadline for this meeting, and from those who have signed up on the form to comment via audio and/or video. So that was open and available on the district website up until the start of this opportunity for public comment. Any written comments that were submitted prior to the deadline for this meeting will be read aloud by the board attorney for 3 minutes in accordance with board policy 0167. Members of the public who did not submit written comments and who have signed up will be offered the opportunity to make their comments via video and/or audio. Members of the public will not be permitted to submit both written comments and make additional comments via video and/or audio. Each comment should be directed to the presiding officer, not individual members of the board, and must be made in accordance with the procedures and 3-minute time limit set forth in Board Policy 0167. If the comment extends beyond 3 minutes, speakers will be asked to conclude their comments and may be muted by the moderator. Once an individual has finished their comment or their 3 minutes has expired, their audio and video will be turned off by the moderator. This public comment period shall be limited to 60 minutes. So we will once again begin with the comments via video and/or audio.
Hey, Madam President, there's one name that appears twice on the list. I think it was just submitted twice in error. The name is Nam Nguyen, 41 Sapphire Drive.
So, Mr. Toscano, it's listed in alphabetical order, and I scrolled through and I do not see Nan.
Just first
No, so I'm in the attendee tab where there says 44.
Oh, in the attendee tab. I apologize. I make sure I was looking at the right sheet as well.
To promote an individual I have to find the name that matches.
Yes.
And unless she is signed in under a different name. Does anyone see differently than me that I might be missing?
What's the whole name?
Nan Nguyen.
This individual was on there earlier as an attendee and must have no longer be there. I saw that name there earlier.
I'm going through the names right now, and there's not one that's.
So, Mr. Toscano, can I recommend that we share screen, read the comments, and then in case Nan re-enters, that we can go back and check to see?
That would be my suggestion as well. Madam President, are you okay with that?
Yes, that sounds like a good plan. Thank you.
Okay. Move to the written comments. Okay. The first written comment comes from Libby Barak, 36 Scott Avenue, West Windsor. Comment: given that 1,400 children dropped out of the hybrid learning and only 100 joined, the demands on in-person learning have changed. Other states and townships have prioritized children in need for special education for extended in-person learning. Is the district considering extending the duration of in-person learning for students with IEPs? When will the district revise all IEPs that are currently designed for in-person instruction? What action is the district planning to take to ensure children of special needs are not continuing to suffer from the educational and mental health implications due to the lack of public education services that meet their needs? The next comment comes from Jennifer Rickards, 8 Warwick Road, West Windsor. And the comment: I am the new president of the SEPTSA, the Special Education Parent Teacher Student Association for the district. I am asking you to consider allowing as many students on IEPs as possible to attend school every day in person, not just every other week. With the recent email from the district regarding the 1,400 students who have shifted to a virtual from hybrid, it seems that since there are less than, I'm just going to expand the box here a little bit, 1,000 students on IEPs in the district, and some of those are all virtual and want to remain all virtual for various reasons, and many of those are in self-contained programs and thus already in full-time, then there should be room in most classrooms and on most buses to allow more IEP students to attend full-time. National research shows that special education students and any other subpopulation of students are disadvantaged with virtual education. I have heard story after story from WWP parents saying that their children are doing well when they go into the building, but fall apart at home. They desperately need the support and structure that is provided by in-person learning. I understand that this may not be possible in all grades or all schools, but I think parents of students on IEPs would be extremely appreciative if an effort were made to accommodate as many special education students in person as possible. and most would understand if there was a particular situation in a grade or school that would not allow for that to occur. I have also heard multiple times from district staff that more students cannot come in person because of possible new students moving into the district that may need to be accommodated. I am disappointed that the district would prioritize the needs of a few hypothetical future students over the immediate needs facing current WWP students and protected under federal law. The spring learning situation was not easy for anyone, but was especially difficult for students with special needs. Please consider prioritizing their needs now and allowing as many students on IEPs to attend class full-time starting next marking period. Thank you. The next comment from Christine Hodges, 18 Zatz Farm, Princeton Junction. The comment: the WWP learning model email that was sent out yesterday stated that over 1,400 students moved from hybrid to all virtual instruction from September 8th, or from the initial survey. The district asked those parents why they were moving their students. What is the current breakdown in numbers and percents of hybrid students in the district by schools? I'm most interested in South, but it would be nice to know what the current status of all hybrid students in the district. What is the district's benchmark to allow the hybrid students to go every week, since the hybrid numbers are so low? At the last board meeting, one of the North Student Council representatives gave a brief overview of the hybrid experience and said why he changed to all virtual. It was similar to what a lot of hybrid students have been saying. There isn't any difference between hybrid and virtual, so why do the hybrid? The students have to get up earlier to go to school to sit in their classes on Zoom, so what's the point? Why not relax at home where you can go grab food, text your friends, or play Amongst Us or Minecraft while in class? I spoke with Dr. Nathan over a month ago and asked what the district was going to do to make the hybrid experience better. She said that the district was getting feedback from parents and teachers and looking into options. What were the suggestions, responses from parents and teachers? And what did the district change in the hybrid experience? I asked the same question at the last BOE meeting. What is the district doing to improve the hybrid learning experience? I haven't seen any district emails addressing improving the hybrid experience or heard improvements in what the kids have been, and the kids have now been in school for 7 weeks now. What resources are the district providing to the in-school teachers to help make their hybrid students experience better than the teacher's summer training, since the teacher's summer district training was focused on the virtual experience? COVID isn't going away. The district has to figure out how to make the hybrid experience better for those students who want to be in school by giving the teachers the support, guidance, and resources. Madam President, that was the last of the written comments.
Thank you, Mr. Toscano. So that will close our first opportunity for public comment, and we'll move.
Ms. Case, I just wanted to double check to see if Nan was back in the meeting.
Thank you.
And I do not see her under the ends. Right, it's Nan Nguyen.
Yes. I don't see her.
Thank you. Dr. Adderhold, is there anything that you want to say at this time?
Thank you. Just with respect to the learning model survey, I referenced in my opening comments that we are absolutely looking at special education programs. It does have different impacts at different levels. To Ms. Rickard's comment about parents appreciating anything you can do at any level. So we have been looking at 6-12, both with ESL and the resource and ICR classes. So currently we've been working with special service administration and the ESL supervisor at the 6-12 level. There's a script created, and child study team members will be communicated with actually tomorrow, and we'll start making calls to students and their families to offer the opportunity to come all in at the 6-12 for, again, ICR-RC, and self-contained populations are already in at the secondary level, so at all levels daily. So we're starting with students that need us the most. on grounds with respect to their programmatic needs. And then we will make an assessment once those decisions are made. We also recognize that not every family is going to be able to accept that, the ability to come in all in, because there may be family dynamics, family needs that require family care needs that the high school student may be responsible for. So it's not a mandate, it's an opportunity. And so we're hoping to work that through in place by through this week to get an assessment of where families stand that are reached out to, so that we can work through transportation next week in the short week with the election and with teachers convention. And then hopefully we can start sometime the week of the 9th is our hope. And so that is what we're going to be looking at there. Today we met with the elementary 4-5, excuse me, with Mr. Dalton as well as Ms. Gould to look at resource programming specifically at both Village and Millstone River. And we'll be making similar calls to families with students in receiving resource programming. So we will be looking there. We're not able to accommodate class size and social distancing necessarily by bringing all in with ICR in the in-class resource programs, as it impacts the social distancing and the class capacity limits. Pre-K3 is a much more difficult scenario at this time with respect to how it impacts homerooms. And something that we have to be mindful of is the staffing limitations that we have on site. So that is something else we're just being very cognizant of. We do not have enough in-person teachers based on the number of hybrid requests to necessarily bring back some students on a daily basis instead of in a hybrid week 1, hybrid week 2. So there are just constraints after constraints, but we are trying to find a way to maximize students in at most, and we have prioritized special ed and ESL at this time. And then once we're able to bring those programs back, then we'll make an assessment about what we can do next, and if we can do anything next, depending on the numbers and the health criteria at that time. So it's complex and impacts lots of different moving components of the district, but we still think even if it's for 3 weeks or longer, it's worth it. So we're going to go through the process and start communicating with families later this week. So I think that's the high level piece because it hits a couple of the comments.
Thank you, Dr. Adderhold. We're going to move now to our committee reports. We'll begin with administration and facilities, and I will turn that over to Tony Flores.
Thank you. The committee met on October 13th. We began with a discussion on restart and reopening of schools. I guess by the time you got to October, you don't call it restart anymore. I guess it's just school. But Dr. Adderhold and Mr. Earl provided updates on the implementation. Students, staff, and the community are complying with health and safety protocols when present on district property. District officials are engaged in COVID tracking and contact tracing when necessary. Transportation is going well, with buses operating at approximately half the recommended student capacity in some areas. As a follow-on to the public comment, the district is currently discussing the possibility of allowing some groups of special education students to attend school each week. I guess we just heard a more complete explanation from the superintendent. Teachers are adapting well to virtual instruction, and the district continues to address concerns as they arise. We then discussed policy 2464 for gifted and talented students. The committee reviewed the policy updates and recommends this policy for its first reading tonight. Then we had a discussion on virtual residency. The committee discussed supporting current residents who may have family emergencies and the need to travel out of state or out of country. Building administrators and the assistant superintendent for planning and pupil services, Mr. Earl, will work with families on an individual basis if they need to travel for emergencies. Health and safety guidelines will be applied including mandatory quarantines if appropriate. And then the committee reviewed 2 drafts of the 2022-2023 academic calendar. Draft calendars will be shared with district administrators and stakeholders for input. The calendars will be reviewed at the next A&F meeting for potential edits. We discussed athletics with a discussion on winter sports. The committee was informed that winter sports registration would open on October 16th, which was a week ago, to gauge interest from student athletes about participation. They scheduled to meet again later in the week of our meeting to continue discussion around the logistics of operating winter athletics, including health and safety procedures, practice and game competition, transportation, spectators, scheduling, NJSIA rules and protocols. Registration closes on November 8th, and the district will assess the winter sports program at that time. Special education review consultant began virtual classroom observations during the week of October 19th. Observations are scheduled to be completed by the end of December. The committee then discussed the referendum work going on in the district. Millstone River's fire alarm system passed final township inspections on October 21st, and punch list inspection for the project is underway. This project's now entering closeout, and the system has been functioning well. High School North's HVAC upgrades are progressing, and Preferred began installation of hot water pipes above the main office areas of the school. Installation of new boiler room controls continues at Millstone River, and preparation to flip the existing boilers over to the new control system is underway. Preferred is finishing the piping of the new HVA water chemical treatment system this week. Millennium is back on site to start the remaining door work, including the wiring of door operators. Toilet room renovations are complete. Phase 1 site work at High School South is complete, and the contractor will be removing equipment soon. Permits are expected to be issued for Phase 2 new construction. Brickwork continues at Grover Middle School around the facade facing the driving lane. Masonry work is nearing completion, and HVAC, refrigerant piping, ductwork, and electrical work installation are ongoing. Steel's being erected in Block A at Community, and footings and foundation block work continue at the Block D addition. Finally, Mr. Rowe briefed us on the equity update. The Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Coordinator, Mr. Anthony Jones, provided a brief overview of his work in progress. He's in the process of meeting with all building level administrators to assess what is working well and in the areas of equity and community for growth, and opportunities for growth, I'm sorry. Mr. Jones will continue meetings and share findings with the Assistant Superintendent's Office. Next meeting is scheduled for November 10th. Any questions?
Seeing as there's no questions, I'll turn it over to Dana Krug, who will give us the report from the Curriculum Committee.
Well, good evening. The Curriculum Committee met on October 13th. First, we discussed the current instructional model for virtual and hybrid learning. Dr. Nathan and Dr. Adderhold shared that the current model is constantly being analyzed as we monitor health, safety, the rate of transmission in the state, and our students' learning needs. At this time, the current model will continue with hybrid and virtual students. Next, we discussed professional development and screen time. In order to be responsive to family and staff needs, Dr. Nathan and Dr. Adderhold shared that a structure is being developed to support professional development time for staff while alleviating screen time for students 1 afternoon per week as a pilot for the fall and early winter. This model would utilize a half-day schedule for students so that all classes would happen in the morning portion or before lunch, of each day of the 1 day a week. During those afternoon times, staff would be engaged in professional development and collaboration time. More information will be communicated as the plan is further developed. The Curriculum Committee also recommends approval of 2 professional development opportunities. One is for 5 district employees to attend the Institute to support high leverage writing instruction for students learning English as a new language. This is virtual, and this is next week at a cost not to exceed $650. This is partially funded through the WWPEA contractual allowance. And the second professional development opportunity is for up to 5 district employees to attend the culturally responsive literature instruction, which is also virtual from November 4th to November 17th at a cost not to exceed $149. The Curriculum Committee also recommends approval of the Community Education Winter and Early Spring 2020-2021 virtual programs for youth and adult programs. The committee also recommends approval for the disposal of many obsolete items in accordance with Regulation 7300.1, 806 books from Millstone River School Media Center, 962 books from High School North Media Center, and 1356 books at Community Middle School Media Center. This is because these items are obsolete or are beyond repair. Our next meeting is November 10th.
Are there any questions about the curriculum report? Okay, I'll turn it over now for the report from the Finance Committee, and for that we'll go to Louisa Ho.
Hi. Okay, I was just making sure my microphone worked. So the Finance Committee met on October 6th to discuss health benefits. The health benefit program for district employees is up for renewal on January 1st of 2021. The district had asked the health insurance broker of record, Brown & Brown Insurance, to investigate various renewal options and costs. Brown & Brown shared with the committee that if we do nothing else, a renewal would be a 9.9% increase with Aetna. Districts the size of West Windsor-Plainsboro could benefit from a self-insurance option. Brown & Brown shared information regarding the renewal RFP with respect to the state health plan, the school's health insurance fund, and remaining with a fully insured product. The school's health insurance fund is a pooled self-insurance program and is another option for the district. The reason that Brown & Brown is not recommending this as a self-insurance option is that it would require the district to change to a different dental carrier and a different prescription plan. This is both disruptive to staff and could provide worse services to staff. As the discussion continued, it was apparent that self-insuring should be an option. One way in which this benefits the districts and its members' premiums is savings on the ACA tax that is required for fully insured products. For WWP, that tax is $1 million. The ACA tax goes away January of 2021. However, the state of New Jersey has imposed a new tax in the same amount. If the ACA tax is reinstated in 2021, the tax liability is estimated to be more than $2 million. A self-insurance program provides what's called a risk corridor. This means that the district is self-insured for claims up to the maximum amount in that corridor. The district would obtain additional insurance to provide stop-loss coverage if claims exceed that maximum, or if any individual has claims in excess of $250,000 in a claim year. This limits the risks to the district. The district pays the claims up to a point, and then the reinsurer pays the claim. In a self-insurance scenario, there is a fixed cost fee from the plan administrator, in this case Aetna, and an insurance premium from the stop-loss carrier. The administration fees in a self-insured plan are considerably lower than in a fully insured product. In addition, the premium for the stop-loss insurance is only for the stop-loss amount, not the entire cost of the plan, as it is in a fully insured product. When changing insurance carriers, there are claims that are incurred before the change date but submitted after you change carriers. This is called the runoff. Brown & Brown is developing a proposal for us that includes the cost of insurance to cover the runoff for claims incurred during the last 12 months prior to the change in insurance but not submitted until after the change date. The runoff would be for 3 months into the new plan year. Once your runout number and stop-loss corridor balance is funded in the first year, this balance carries into future years. Runout claims are known as claims INBR, incurred but not reported. Given the current fiscal condition of the state, this might be very helpful to us in a couple of years. Brown & Brown will develop a self-insurance proposal for the district with Aetna, which minimizes the disruption to staff because we currently use Aetna for health insurance. With this option, the district plan, health carrier, and network would remain the same, only a new insurance car is needed. The proposal will include an estimate of the claims costs, Aetna administration fees, aggregate stop loss, fees for claims in excess of the risk corridor, and stop loss coverage for individual claims and IBNR claims. In addition, the district needs to set aside funds to cover the risk corridor, not just the expected claim costs. The funds we set aside for IBNR and the risk corridor can be carried over from year to year if they are not needed in any particular year. The committee also met on October 13th for a more conventional committee meeting. Staff shared that work continues on the audit. The auditor will be available to review the audit at our November committee meeting. The district has received the Certificate of Excellence for the 11th straight year from the Association of School Business Administrators International. The committee reviewed agenda items for tonight's meeting. Staff reported that the current budget balances to date are similar to prior years. Expenditures and encumbrances are up slightly over last year, but the appropriations are as well. There is a motion to accept a coronavirus relief fund grant from the state of New Jersey for school startup costs. The district has also applied to FEMA for cost reimbursement. There is a motion to contract with Millennium Communications to complete the electronic connections to door actuators for the security vestibules. The district has received more ROD grant money for the state share of previous capital projects. The shared services agreement with East Windsor is up for approval. East Windsor provides bus maintenance service to our district. And there are some bus contracts for approval on the agenda, as well as some employee virtual professional development. There will be a motion on the agenda to approve non-represented employees' overtime pay structure in case they are requested to work overtime. Work over 40 hours will be paid at time and a half. This motion is needed to memorialize the amounts for the auditors. In addition, it is needed since the position of operations foreman became a board employee and the technology department members have been putting additional hours with approval from the superintendent due to the pandemic. Staff also updated the committee on the 2021 budget. Work has begun on the budget calendar. As for general fund trends, the 1920 budget closed out similarly to prior years. This was partially because the district purchased substantial amounts of PPE supplies and equipment out of the 2019-20 budget. The annual maintenance budget amount worksheet is required by the DOE and calculates the minimum amount of money that may be spent on the maintenance of the facilities in the coming year. The form also establishes a maximum maintenance reserve amount and calculates what has been budgeted and or spent in the last 10 years. The comprehensive maintenance plan is also required by the DOE and shows what was spent in the prior year, shows what is budgeted for the current year, and estimates what is to be budgeted in the coming year. The committee again discussed healthcare in length, and we discussed the pros and cons of self-funding the health insurance program. Staff shared that the food service program is continuing with breakfast and lunch meals being distributed every Monday afternoon for a 5-day period. Changes to the federal program allowing free meals regardless of income will remain in place until June of 2021. The changes have resulted in an increase in meals provided. This Monday, 900 students accepted the meals. Over the last several months, local service organizations have participated in our food distribution days, helping them gain access to families that are in need of their services. The committee discussed transportation options in response to a comment made at the last board meeting regarding efficiency. Due to the pandemic, bus routes cannot be significantly changed due to several reasons, including CDC recommended capacity and state legislation that would require a vendor to be paid even if you did not run the route. The routes are currently being reviewed to see if the hybrid A and B weeks were consolidated into one schedule, if there is capacity on the buses that we currently have. The staff also provided the committee with an update on construction projects, which Tony already covered. I would just add at community, one very large, healthy looking tree was cut down over the weekend because it was in the construction zone. This tree was one of the ones that residents commented about not cutting down. An arborist reviewed the trees in questions and said that some of them are not healthy, even though they look healthy. The tree that was felled this weekend was hollow, even though it looked healthy, which is an example of what was found in the arborist's report. Staff provided the committee with updates on the Energy Savings Improvement Program. Work is moving along nicely. In High School South, the Science Wing boilers were replaced and are ready to be started. The cold water and hot water pumps were replaced, as were the pumps for the main boilers. The transformers for the building are being replaced. Work on HVAC controls continues, and the air handler in the playhouse will be replaced next week. Variable frequency drive installation will begin on HVAC equipment next week as well. In Dutch Neck, only controls work continues. New boilers were installed in Community Middle School with final work being completed for an October 15th startup. New rooftop units for the HVAC system will arrive shortly for installation in late October or early November. High School North computer room cooling work is going out to bid for installation of equipment. Millstone River emergency lighting system work is going out to bid this week. Snyder Electric handles these bids but follows the New Jersey statutes. Mechanical work for Grover Middle School is going out to bid as well. Lighting retrofit work is substantially complete in Village and will begin in Town Center next week. Bipolar air ionizer installation is complete at Village, Town Center, Hawk, and Community Middle School. High School South is complete with respect to where students are located, and work has begun on North. Installation of a high-efficiency transformer has started at High School South. Snyder has been working closely with the technology department for system access for HVAC controls. Solar panel installation continues at Village. Panels are installed at Millstone and Dutch Neck and are awaiting final connections and approvals. The installer is mobilizing at Grover Middle School. For COVID-19, staff reported that more students have opted for virtual instruction since the last report. There are less students in the building. We have had staff that have tested positive, quarantined, and returned to work. The number of people in quarantine has remained approximately constant. Employee travel has been a challenge with respect to personal time use, as many areas of destination are on New Jersey's quarantine list. The committee is next meeting on Tuesday, November 10th.
Thanks, Louisa. Does anybody have any questions about the finance report? Okay, so we will now move to the consent agenda of our meeting, the part where we vote. We begin, can I please get a motion on administration items 1 through 9, plus the addendum on student residency? Robin and Martin. Are there any questions or comments on the administration items? Thank you, Chris.
Okay, we'll start with Mr. Flores.
Yes.
Then we'll go to Ms. Ho,
Yes.
Ms. Krug,
Yes.
Ms. McCune,
Yes.
Mr. Whitfield,
Yes.
Ms. Zovich,
Yes.
Mr. Chang,
Yes.
Ms. Juliana,
Yes.
and Ms. Case.
Yes. Can I please get a motion on the curriculum and instruction items 1 and 2? Graylin and Dana, are there any questions or comments on the curriculum items? Thanks, Chris.
Okay, we'll start with Ms. Ho,
Yes.
Ms. Krug,
Yes.
Ms. McCune,
Yes.
Mr. Whitfield,
Yes.
Ms. Zovich,
Yes.
Mr. Chang,
Yes.
Mr. Flores,
Yes.
Ms. Juliana,
Yes.
Ms. Case.
Yes. For the finance items, we are going to please, I have a correction. We're going to delete item number 12. And so I need a motion, please, on finance items 1 to 11, and then 13 to 16, plus the addendum for transportation bid awards and rejection. Making a motion on all of that. Isaac and Louisa, are there any questions on the finance items? Thanks, Chris.
Okay, we'll start with Ms. Krug.
Yes.
Ms. McCune,
Yes.
Mr. Whitfield,
Yes.
Mr. Chang.
Yes.
I missed Ms. Zovich. Ms. Zovich.
Yes.
Mr. Flores,
Yes.
Ms. Ho,
Yes.
Ms. Juliana,
Yes.
and Ms. Case.
Yes. Could I please get a motion on personnel items 1 and 2 plus the addendum? Martin and Robin, are there any questions or comments on the personnel items? Thanks, Chris.
Okay, we'll start with Ms. McCune,
Yes.
Mr. Whitfield,
Yes.
Ms. Zovich,
Yes.
Mr. Chang,
Yes.
Mr. Flores,
Yes.
Ms. Ho,
Yes.
Ms. Krug,
Yes.
Ms. Juliana,
Yes.
Ms. Case.
Yes. I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge one retirement that we just voted on. Karen Black is an IRLA teacher at CMS, and she's retiring after 23.5 years with the district. I want to wish her well, all the best in her retirement, and thank her for her hard work and dedication to our students. Could I please get a motion to approve the board minutes from our meeting on October 6th? Dana and Tony. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed or abstentions? Do we have any liaison reports? Do we have any new business? That brings us to the second opportunity for public comment. The board invites thoughts and reactions on agenda items and items of concern from members of our community who submitted written comments to the board secretary prior to the submission deadline for this meeting, and from those who have signed up on the form to comment via video and/or audio that was open and available on the district website up until the start of this second opportunity for public comment. Any written comments that were submitted prior to the deadline for this meeting will be read aloud by the board attorney for 3 minutes in accordance with Board Policy 0167. Members of the public who did not submit written comments and who have signed up will be offered the opportunity to make their comments via video and/or audio. Members of the public will not be permitted to submit both written comments and make additional comments via video and/or audio. Each comment should be directed to the presiding officer, not individual members of the board, and must be made in accordance with the procedures and 3-minute time limit set forth in Board Policy 0167. If the comment extends beyond 3 minutes, speakers will be asked to conclude their comments and may be muted by the moderator. Once an individual has finished their comment or their 3 minutes has expired, their audio and video will be turned off by the moderator. This public comment period shall be limited to 15 minutes. So again, we will start with the video and audio comments first.
Madam President, we have one name on the list, Veronica Camino.
Ms. Kaish, I have 3 very specific questions for you. 1, somebody in Facebook Peeps wrote that going forward now, Dr. Radical is not going to receive any more bonuses. That's why his salary is going to $249. Can you please verify if that is true or not? 2, can you please explain to me why whenever a club wants to be created for students, there's never stipend? And let me give you 2 particular examples. Mock trials at High School South, HOSA at High School South. My husband and I, we have to volunteer our time and we have to pay out of our pocket for every single issue like fingerprinting and that type of things, which is over $500 each time. And we had to pay on top of our taxes. And 3, I had the parent-teacher conference with for my kids. And when the teacher was explaining to me in math that now the curricula is they teach math and then they teach multiplication. They teach subtraction and then they teach division. However, they do not teach what it's called regrouping with math, with addition, or regrouping with subtraction. And when I asked why not, because that doesn't make any sense to me, I was told that the school district follows Common Core. It did not make any sense for the teacher either, and the school district follows Common Core. When questioned Mr. Smith, prior assistant superintendent, and Mr. Radaholt, they said that the school district does not follow Common Core. Can you please clarify the discrepancy for me? Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam President, there were no other names. And there was no written comments submitted for the second public comment period.
All right, well, that will close then our second opportunity for public comment. Does Superintendent have anything to say at this time? No. You know, Mark, Mr. Toscano, can I just ask you to verify just one thing in the superintendent's contract? Is there anything in the contract?
Yes. All I would add, Madam President, is as I noted in the summary that was provided, the now approved contract does not allow for any merit goals or any merit bonus going forward, and any goals that were submitted in the current school year are both mutually rescinded.
Right. Thank you. I know that you said that at the beginning of our meeting, and I appreciate you clarifying that again.
Ms. Gage, if I could on maybe come back with two. With respect to clubs and activities, clubs and activities go through a process. We have student-run clubs at both of our high schools. And student-run clubs do not have advisors. They're student-run by nature. And so if we were to run advisors for each one of our student-run clubs, you would be adding over 200 stipends between High School North and High School South. There's at least 100 student-run clubs at each high school, potentially as high as 150, because we have students with interests and we work hard to promote that. What we have allowed is student-run groups to potentially work with mentors or volunteers. Volunteers that have sustained contact are asked to get cleared, and then they must be board approved. So the first step in clearance is fingerprinting. Fingerprinting, Ms. Hughes, correct me if I'm wrong, costs $65, $70 for the state, and a substitute certificate costs $100, $125 total. So that's a process that individuals that want to volunteer, and substitute certificate is if someone's going to be an advisor and go to sustain contact with students. Ms. Hughes, you want to jump in on that?
And we reimburse reimburse for volunteers fingerprint costs.
If they're board approved as a volunteer, correct?
Correct.
Right. And with respect to clubs, we actually built in the budget 2 years ago mock trial. It was posted last year and it went unfilled. That process did go on. It was posted on the district website and it was posted for North and South. Mr. Leppold made no recommendations for High School South for a club advisor, but this board did take action in your budget process and did approve it. With respect to the curricular questions, maybe I'll pass it to Dr. Nathan if she doesn't mind.
Absolutely. And Mrs. Vino, I know you and I have spoken before, and I'm always happy.
Pam, it's a little hard to hear you. Forgive me for interrupting.
I was just saying that Mrs. Vino and I have spoken before, and I'm always happy to answer questions. But just to give a general overview, since the question was in regard to our math instruction, we have transitioned from Common Core as the state made that decision to move to the New Jersey Student Learning Standards for mathematics. They are very similar to the Common Core in that it is a goal for it's a goal to build mathematical understanding with a particular focus on number sense. In order to do that, we address the algorithm, which is what you're referring to with regrouping, at a much later stage in instruction, because we really want to build students' understanding of number sense and mathematics. This is based on tons of research that we've been able to do over the years, brain studies that weren't available, earlier in education. So when they were able to use this research, they were able to construct the Common Core, the New Jersey Student Learning Standards, and that is why we take this approach to developing our students' number sense and mathematical understanding. But I'm happy to go into more depth, at any time if you want to give me a call.
Thank you, Dr. Nathan.
Thank you, Dr. Nathan and Dr. Adderhold. We're at the end. So can I please get a motion to adjourn? Rachel and Graylin. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thanks for coming out tonight. Congratulations again, Dr. Adderhold, and we'll see you all next time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Stay safe and healthy, everybody.